like I said, yeah. So it's about your journey in the music industry and how you got to where you are today.
Sure.
Cool. Did read you. Are you from Kentucky originally? Born and raised there?
No, I was born and spent the first half of my childhood in a town called Blanchard outside of Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah, moved to Kentucky. There's a Toyota plant, and that's why we're here. Small town in Kentucky, Central Kentucky, Cynthiana.
Right on, right on. How'd you get into music originally?
You know, man, I was a weird kid in kind of a farm community that didn't farm, so so it's probably semi-natural. But you know, started playing guitar, trying to learn those, you know, the Metallica songs that you're supposed to learn and all that. But you know, put together a band. I mean, I ended up marrying my childhood sweetheart after like a 8-year vacation from one another, and we got back together, and I was touring, and she's like, well, that's what you said you were going to do in high school. So it's kind of always been the thing.
Yeah. Wow. So what was that first band you started?
Oh man, we had more names than we did gigs, man. This was like a high school, you know what I mean? Like very serious and tough and awkward band.
Of course. Sure, right? You spend more time trying to figure out the posters and the logos and the names.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We had it all figured out, man. We were gonna have, you know, we were ready for our arena gigs, you know.
Sure. That's amazing. Did you ever play out? Did that band ever get any gigs?
Oh, of course, man. At the, you know, the speech tournament at the you know, Harrison County Middle School. Yeah, all the venues when you're on the come up. the high school talent show, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, there was never any doubt, right?
Was that all in Kentucky? When you
yeah,
went to Lexington?
Cynthiana.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
That was in Cynthiana. That was, you know, I was still a kid. I didn't get to Lexington until I was about 21 years old, and
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I moved here to start a band. So
okay, so you're in high school. That's when that band started. That was kind of your first.
Oh yeah.
Introduction to playing with people and everything.
Yeah. So I don't know if that counts. I mean, that counts in a way, but
I think it counts. Yeah.
We sold 0 tickets and invited all of our parents and friends.
Nice. So what took you to Lexington? Tell me about what went from the high school gig?
Well, I ended up at a college, also in a small town in Kentucky, and just kind of doing that, right? Like that's what you did. There wasn't no major or anything like that. Honestly, it was literally just me playing guitar in dorms and having too many drinks, but kind of started to try to get things started in that town. And, you know, man, it's the small town story. It wasn't working. Mm-hmm. So I moved to Lexington to start a band. That was my sole intent, you know, waiting tables and trying to meet musicians and figure it out, you know.
And yeah, how did that work out for you? So you ended up was Fifth on the Floor the first band you started when you got there?
Yeah. And, you know, the band that we started, and the difference between that and the band as it ended was vast. I mean, we probably should have changed the name at some point. We were kind of like a bar band and trying to, you know, force people to listen to original music in places that did not hire bands that played original music.
Yeah, kind of like cover. They wanted you to just be a cover band.
Yeah, and that's not ever what I wanted. So it kind of we whipped that and took it kicking and screaming into, you know, being a touring band and living in a van for far too long.
When what was like with Fifth on the Floor, when did you guys decide to start touring? Like you were doing the like cover song stuff, and then were you writing music all during that, and then just decided, hey, it's time to take this?
Yeah, we weren't even. I mean, we did certainly some covers to fill up time. You know, keep in mind we're like 20, 21.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, we were kind of never that. So within about a year, I think we're working on a full-length record, and within a year of that, on our first tour. I mean, tour in the barest sense of the word, and frankly, album in the barest sense of the word. You can't find that album today, I hope.
Oh, really? Okay.
And those shows were just anywhere that would have us, man. I mean, I certainly remember when we could break even on gas and pizza and beer. We were rock stars, you know. I mean, we were playing to 10 people. So, you know, doing these kind of figuring out these times, I probably got some experience playing for nobody that I can tap into from 15 years ago.
Yeah, but you guys put out 4 records, right? Were you with them the whole time, or
Yep.
did you?
I was the only guy. Yeah, I was the only guy that was kind of in it the whole time.
Yeah, and you had like other people kind of jump on as other players, or
Yeah.
was it just okay?
Well, it started as it was a band. It was
Mm-hmm.
they were bandmates, and then as things got bigger and people came and went, we kind of stopped fooling with that mess and had hired guns, if you will. But
Right on.
that band should have been probably 3 different bands in the space of the 10 years it existed.
Oh, okay. And were you guys signed to a label and stuff?
We did the last album with E1 Music, a branch of Entertainment One. They handled movies and music and all kinds of things.
Oh, okay. But the first 3 that you put out were all self-released, and it was just
yeah.
you put them out and then tour, or like, and then come back and put it out, and that's kind of, was that what you guys kind of did?
I mean, absolutely. If miles traveled equal tickets sold, we would be, I think the Lady Gaga would be calling us. we did the miles, but man, we were averaging, 10 people showing up, and we loved it. We loved it. I was never kind of like a punk rock kid. That wasn't really a thing where I grew up, but I certainly think that kind of, that vitality was in us and in me.
Yeah, like the DIY mentality type thing. Well, I mean, one of those records made it onto like Billboard's charts, and that's pretty impressive for a a independent band. Tell me about that.
And before they were calling, Kentucky is becoming like a genre anymore in the kind of roots world, but that wasn't so much a thing. I mean, obviously Kentucky's got a rich history, and I'm not making false claims, but that band could have benefited from how things are now, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's still pretty wild to get that far, just independently at least. And then from there, is that when you like that band kind of fizzled out, and then you just decided to start your own solo project? Because it almost sounds like that became just you as far as like the main guy, right?
That's right.
So you just decided to, I'm just going to take it all solo now.
Well, I mean, as the thing kind of fell apart, I realized, this has obviously been something I always want to do. This is going to be what I was going to do. And everything I've ever done in life has been to kind of supplement and figure out music. Right. Mm-hmm. So from there, it's just a matter of maybe acknowledging that I don't really have other marketable skills or like a trade. I'm not a welder. I think it kind of, it's music or nothing.
Yeah. Wow. And then you've ended up putting out your first record. Tell me about putting together that album.
Well, that whole, I'm really proud of that record, but that record definitely came out of me struggling to figure out all the things that we kind of just went over in the last, few sentences, not knowing what I was going to do. You know what I mean? Always kind of wanting a band of brothers, as it were, and not having that, and being a new father and newly married, and, feeling the responsibilities there. So that record was me not going to work at the local plant is what that was. So
okay.
It worked out all right.
Down in the Distance? Yes,
sir.
All right. And that one's put out on Rock Creek Music. How did you get hooked up with them?
That was that's a label in name only. That was my management at the time. And, that was us fooling all you guys into thinking I had a label is what that was.
I like that. It was funny as I've heard artists say, like, when they first started out, they would like email people with like, as they were like the management, like from the management, like, cool.
Oh, for years.
I have this band that would love to play your venue. And it's from them.
I had a false agent. And agency and everything called called Front Door Booking. I had the whole thing, man. These are like the MySpace days, and you could fool people.
Sure.
It's funny that you would kind of badger, whatever local 300 cap venue, no response, but they get an email from an agent that's obviously nothing they've ever heard of.
Yeah.
And man, it's like you get an immediate response. So what does that tell you?
It's so funny.
Figure it out.
That's hilarious. With Dawn in the Distance, did you tour on that album by yourself?
I did. Solo and band as I could, as budget allowed. But
was it a different process putting that record together because it was just your,
yes.
opinion?
Absolutely. Yeah. Same probably amount of people's. I had a great producer, Duane Lundy, who did this newest one and mixed the last fifth on the floor thing. So it's definitely still collaboration, and definitely still having players that weren't just maybe that stereotype of pickup guys with charts. I mean, people that had an emotional investment in the music. So that was still there. I just maybe less red tape and trying to please everybody with bandmates.
Yeah. How was it torn? Like you said, you did some of the shows solo. How was that? Did you do like a full tour by yourself at all?
Yeah, have done. Again, that's something that you just kind of get the hang of. Had done a little bit of it at the end of Fifth on the Floor's life when we first started doing some dates as support. In some of these bigger rooms, sometimes the budget was such that full band maybe wasn't happening, or especially if we were opening for, that was kind of a loud band. If we were playing in front of acts that weren't so much, they were a little more songwriter oriented, I would do that by myself. So,
okay.
I'd gotten a lay of the land, and I don't mind traveling by myself too much. So,
yeah, was that kind of interesting the first time you had to go, like drive by yourself and then get to the venue and then kind of have everything?
You can take the back roads, man. You can go find the world's largest frying pan or whatever. I mean, that's that's always a love of mine. If you travel and we hit these cities, at least for me, a kid from a small town, a lot of these places I may have never seen if I hadn't doing what I was doing. So like with the whole tour hubbub, you're in and out. It's at night. You don't get to see anything. You don't get to do anything. It's all kind of quick, and you've got your day planned for you. So, as I kind of started over and was just doing it out of my van by myself, I'm like, well, we're not hauling 6 people. We got a little better gas mileage. We'll go see this frying pan.
Take a little scenic route.
Go see the world's largest softball or whatever.
That's awesome that you took advantage of those things. Like I remember the only ones I've really seen are like off the 10 freeway in California. Yeah. Like there's one where it's like these giant dinosaur like sculpture things that you just pull over and see.
This country's so weird, man. I mean, all the kind of the spaces between, that's that rich, that true, that real Americana. And I feel like, you're on the interstate and you're seeing a McDonald's and a Starbucks every mile. I mean, that's how people fall asleep at the wheel, man. Like, give me those windy roads and those weird, strange kind of borderline like Rob Zombie movie things.
Oh, totally. That's a great
some of those places where it's like maybe people like us maybe shouldn't pull over. Maybe it's just keep driving.
Right. Locals only type place.
Oh, that's when my accent just gets thick as thieves.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell me about this new record, Justin. I know it's kind of has a concept to it, right? The whole kind of like a linear look at life, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to skirt around those concept and theme, that kind of allusions to any sort of thing, but it's definitely a through line. I mean, it had a sequence and an idea before I'd written any of the songs. And what happened was, you kind of have these little note-taking apps, and I don't know, you pass that ball of yarn in Iowa or whatever it is, you hear a story, you put it in your phone. And I'd had this idea several years ago, and I knew it was going to take it wasn't going to come together quickly. So this is maybe an idea for a third record or fourth record or whatever, just something to kind of be working on over time.
Mm-hmm.
And as we started demoing some other songs entirely for this next record, I showed my producer some songs, and I had some that kind of wayward ideas and played him just the one I just written, just one song. And he's like, "Oh man, that's the jam." I was like, "Well, that's a part of this other thing that we're going to have to talk about this in a couple of years." And he's like, "No, we need to do that right now." So I went and wrote the record in about a month, and
Wow.
And got it done. And then it took us quite some time to kind of assemble the players and do it. But the writing was the quick part.
Was that like, so did you kind of write like a storyline out, and then each song kind of took place within the storyboard, so to speak?
Sure. Like, thinking about kind of something we touched on, when I was a high schooler, it was that hard and fast music, right? It was rock and roll, man. Country could not be any lamer to me at the time. And just thinking on that's where this idea was born for, is like how different genres kind of speak to you at different times in your life. And maybe you fall out of love with this thing and in love with this thing. So that's what I really set out to do, was do that sonically with this record, where things that are earlier on in your teens, your 20s or whatever, these feel a little heavier hitting and maybe not as thoughtful in some ways. And they even out, love goes fast and then slow and so on and so forth. So
I love it. And you've got a couple songs out so far. The full record coming out at the end of the month, 28th?
28th, yeah, 28th, August 28th.
Okay.
We actually just debuted the video for the third single today.
Was that No Time for a Broken Heart, or is that a different one?
That was the last single. So the next one's called Walls Fall Down.
Oh, okay. And that, you said the video came out today for that one? I saw the video for No Time for a Broken Heart. I don't think I've seen the newest video yet. That one's pretty good.
You saw me in my suit.
Yeah, your suit, and you have like the assistant like taking notes.
I got to tell you, man, the guy that does my videos, Casey Pierce in Nashville, that guy rules a lot. And he said, "Look, man," we'd kind of bounce around some ideas. He's like, "Look, man, I've got this idea. You in a suit." I was like, "No, dog, you need to come up with something else." And he's like, "No, hear me out. I'm thinking like you're Baloo and this kid's Mowgli from Jungle Book." Yeah. And I'm like, all right, man, now I'm listening. Yeah, I'm into it. But yeah, probably won't see me in suits too much.
Yeah, that's a great video. I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, is this guy in an interview? Like, is it comes in the beginning, and then like the kid's like trying to scribble down everything you're saying, and I'm like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. You have like a tailor come in, and yeah, that's pretty good, man. I like it.
I think he's just having a hard time. That was a hot day, man.
Oh, did you shoot that in your hometown?
In Nashville. No, in
Nashville. Okay. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So the newest song that's what I'm sorry, what was the name of the one that you just dropped today?
So it just dropped today, Walls Fall Down. It's actually, the video went out today, and then of course Spotify and the whole shebang at midnight tonight. But
oh, okay. That's probably why I haven't seen it on. Yeah, I was looking on Spotify. I didn't see it on here yet. So the video's out. The song will come out tonight.
That's right.
And so with the Screaming song and No Time for a Broken Heart and the new one, are these songs like in order on the record, or is it kind of all like you put that one out and then this one's a little bit further down the line on the album? You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, the idea is in order on the record for sure. How we're releasing the singles, not specifically, although kind of without intent, the first single was the first track, and No Time was the second. But this is a little deeper. This is more thinking about my parents' age, retired and grandparents, and kind of holding hands with the one you've been with your person, and looking back at what you've done. Be that where you're at, or be that, your kids, your grandkids, what have you, just kind of surveying what you've accomplished in life.
I like it. And what's the video? What's the concept for the video for this one?
Man, I'm really proud of that. It's COVID, just like you and I are doing right now. We're trying to figure out how to be creative, but also be safe and responsible, and not, maniacs running around. No comment. But anyway, so I was just really thinking on, you know, a lot of these venues are struggling as hard or harder than the artists for sure. And just kind of wanted to show some love. So I went on a 1,600-mile no tour, playing the parking lots of some of my favorite venues. We went to 6 states, and we ended up hitting 8 venues. And my pal Adam Lee, who's also an artist, he shot the whole thing on an iPhone, man. It looks great. Really proud of it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I just threw it up in the background of my my computer screen right now. I'm kind of taking a look at it.
That's an iPhone,
awesome,
man. They're gonna switch me.
Whoa.
They're gonna win me over from my Samsung allegiance. They're
gonna. I have an Android phone too. My friends with iPhones are always trying to like get me to switch.
I think we should resist, man. I think we should.
I am resisting. Yeah, I'm proud of my Google phone.
Somebody wants to send me a free one, maybe, but
yeah. Well, this is amazing. So this was all shot on an iPhone, and
by a non-cinematographer. I mean, my guy, you know, he's a creative. He's a songwriter. This guy, and he's done some really rad stuff in his career. In fact, he's got an album coming out. But anyway, you know, it was kind of more like, hey, man, are you losing your mind in your place just like I'm losing my mind? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I've got this idea. I know you got that iPhone that's supposed to have that rad camera. This is not a commercial for Apple, but but no, we just went, man. We just went and played the parking lots and just, you know, showing love to these places. Also showing that however this falls, you know, whatever happens, we're going to be here doing this.
Mm-hmm. Was it pretty surreal driving around with nobody outside? Like, I'm looking at the footage of you like in these parking lots, and there's like no one around, like no cars, nothing.
Well, you remember how I told you my tours started when I was in my 20s? So this is kind of a return to
full circle.
Yeah, there's maybe 3 less people than what early Fifth on the Floor used to play for. No, I mean, it was actually really cool. I like to travel regardless. So it's basically like touring, just, you know, not making any money.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's a great idea. And
thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful video. And yeah, like I said, I'm just cruising through it as I'm talking to you. But yeah.
Well, this whole landscape's going to shift. I mean, you know, I don't know if you did a lot of Zoom stuff prior to quarantine and stuff, but here's us figuring it out, right? But
right.
You know, a lot of these places that we love are going to close, and you know, that's just going to happen. We need to kind of do what we can, or we're going to be playing you know, the Harrison County Middle School speech tournament.
Yeah.
Or what have you.
I know. It's so unfortunate because these small venues are the ones that are the iconic, like that have the most history and like are the best like sound and just like the best vibe. And those are probably going to be the ones that are going to not be able to sustain, you know.
That's right.
This whole thing.
So we gotta hang in there.
Yeah, I know a lot of we're in San Diego, and I know a lot of artists here in town are sharing, like, you know, go buy the merch of, you know, the Casbah, and because they're not open, but they're still selling, you know, T-shirts and, you know, mugs or whatever, anything to kind of help support them to pay rent that month or, you know, whatever until this is ready to open up again. So I think that's rad what you're doing, you know, getting the word out.
Well, we're drawing attention to that Save Our Stages Act that's trying to, you know, get Congress to approve some additional funds specifically for these venues, because this is not, they can't do necessarily carry out dining. You know, there's not a lot of opportunities, and at least some people still remaining that can pass legislation know the value of these, you know, places of creation and art. So,
yeah. We'll see. Hopefully, you know, everything works out as far as they just need to, you know, have everyone wears their mask. We'll be able to congregate here soon enough, hopefully.
You can't tell Americans nothing, man. I get it. Look, man, I get that it's not comfortable, but like, are we children? I mean, like, you're telling me because something's uncomfortable, man, that like, look, trousers, like pants are uncomfortable, but you can't walk around your boxer shorts, man. Like I get that whole kind of like pride, etc. But to a certain extent, it's a petulant thing, and I don't know.
I agree.
I live in the South, man. I live in the South. I'm not in San Diego, so I'm probably seeing more of it.
Yeah, but I
They'll
know
figure it out.
it's like just wear the mask. If you wear it for a year, maybe it'll be, they'll have the cure and everything will be fine.
Hey, look, if we were all wrong and this was for nothing, then mud on our face, fine. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I'm willing to have been wrong, but at least I showed that I cared.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
Oh man, it's different times. You can't say nothing without there being a 180-degree versus person immediately show up like an imp on your shoulder.
Totally.
But that's what this album's kind of intended to do in a way, is to just show that not to be some kind of Hallmark bullshit, but there is a through line to me and you, having not met you, and to our neighbors and our enemies or whatever. I mean, we're all just trying to figure it out. So if we can just, start there's some commonality. If we can start there, maybe we can, I don't know, not be assholes.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Justin, so much. I really appreciate your time, man. This has been great. I do have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Man, if they're starting right now, know two things. Know that this is probably the most unusual time that you'll ever have in your career. And also know that all the way at the base of this thing, that I'm not going to call it maybe a debt to society, but we do have a relationship as artists and creatives with people. And that's ultimately what kind of pushed me towards releasing this album right now and not being able to tour it, is that, people are looking for something, man, anything. People are looking for connection. So do that. Figure out a way to get your music out, because it does matter. It really does matter.